Mm. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. If you've been following these talks on my channel for a while, you know that I usually call them pep talks. But I decided to call this one coffee talk instead because the title of pep talk doesn't convey the right idea for this kind of topic. Today I want to talk about some difficult things like those I've listed in the title here: depression, toxic positivity, and navigating grief. And in the past, I have called these videos pep talks because I have tried to offer encouragement, but I've tried to be very careful of toxic positivity, which I'll explain in more depth in a moment. But toxic positivity to me is kind of that rah, rah, you're great, go you kind of attitude that isn't helpful all the time. It isn't helpful when people are experiencing serious depression and grief. It's like when you post on social media that you're feeling down and people send you little quotes or sayings that say, oh, you know, the sun will shine again, or whatever. And those are helpful sometimes and in some moods, but when we're experiencing some deep difficulty, those kind of things are not helpful. I was reminded of this when I was looking at a book that I had read a while ago and then stuck on my shelf, and I was kind of decluttering some books. And a lot of self-help books, I think, fall into the toxic positivity realm, the ones that are just like, oh, you're great and you can do it, that don't acknowledge all of the deeper reasons for depression and grief. Anyway, I pulled this off my shelf, this You Are a Badass book. And the subtitle is How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. So the idea is that we all have greatness within us and that we can all live an awesome life. And I have mixed feelings about messages like this. I really think that they can be helpful and encouraging at some moments in our life, but in other moments they're not going to help us. And I opened up this book to page 97 for those of you who are playing along at home. And it says, here are some tried and true ways to show your brain who's driving the bus. This chapter is about kind of reprogramming your brain to think positively. And here's the list of tried and true ways that the author gives us. 1, ask and it is given. She says, ask for what you want and send out a message to the universe, right? It's that idea of manifesting through positive thought. Number 2 tip here is act as if. If you want something badly, even if you don't have any evidence that it's possible for you to attain, believe it is anyway. There you go, problem solved. Just believe it, right? That's what I'm talking about with what I call toxic positivity. Just feel better. Just do it, you know. That's not always helpful. Number 3, upgrade your environment. It's going to be a struggle to keep your thoughts large and in charge if every time you pull up to your rickety-ass home, you hear the Sanford and Son theme song start up in your head. Well, Sanford and Son might be before a lot of people's time, but it was about this father and son who ran a junkyard together. A Alert the universe that you're not screwing around is the advice there. Number 4 piece of advice for teaching your brain to drive the vehicle is make a vision board. Now, some people find this helpful to, make a collage of pictures or words that are things that you aspire to. So if you want to live in a beautiful home, you put a picture of a beautiful home. If you want children, you put a picture of children, what have you. Your dream house with the infinity pool in Mexico, rolling around on the beach with your red hot lover, volunteering to help little kids learn how to read at your local library, laughing your face off surrounded by dear friends. It is hugely powerful because your mind sends that image out to the source energy, which begins the process of pulling it in. Again, I'm not sure this is going to work for everybody at all times, right? Making a collage of pictures of things that you don't have and that you really want, I'm sure it's motivational for some people. It wouldn't be motivational for me. Number 5, surround yourself with people who think the way you want to think. So the author here is urging that you kind of change your tribe, change the people that you hang out with. Get out there and find some people who make you feel like you can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Where are these people and how do I find them? I wish I knew. Is that going to make you a better person by bringing new people into your orbit? Demand of the universe to connect you with them, it says here. And okay, number 6, the final one on the list here is love yourself. So there you go, problem solved. Love yourself. That's all you need to do, right? This is the kind of stuff I refer to as toxic positivity. And maybe that's a little harsh, but it's supposed to be motivational. But when you just tell someone, love yourself, surround yourself with great people, think positive. When one is in the depths of depression and grief, you might feel like, yeah, that sounds great and I'd love to do all that if I knew how, or if I could pull myself out of this state of, inertia or ennui or depression, whatever words you want to give to it. So those things don't always help. They don't help me. I suffer from depression, so I understand the mental health side of that condition. I've been really fortunate to work with doctors and therapists who are able to help me understand this condition, and that it's not a character flaw, it's not an inability to pull yourself up and motivate yourself. In my case anyway, I have a wonderful doctor who explained to me that it's a question of brain chemistry, and my brain is wired up in a particular way that a lot of people's brains are, that makes it hard for me to manufacture and release the happy hormones. But there are medical reasons for it. So that has helped me a lot to see it as not a character flaw, but an issue of my personal biology, because I think books like the one I was just sharing with you kind of encourage us to think of it as a character flaw, or think of it as something that you have complete control over. And at least in my case, it's not something I have complete control over, and I know that because this has been a lifelong thing. So I get the proper treatment and medicine for my situation by working with medical professionals, and that is what has helped me. So I never look down on people who struggle with depression and mental health issues and who need medical care for those things rather than just rah-rah words, because the rah-rah words don't always work. At least they haven't worked for me. So if they don't work for you, I hear you, I feel you, I understand that. And this leads me into this idea of navigating grief. We've probably all heard of the 5 stages of grief. Once upon a time, somebody created a model saying that when we're grieving, for example, when someone passes away that we loved and we miss them, we go through these certain stages of grieving. You know, we go through a stage of disbelief, then we go through a stage of anger, then we go through a stage of bargaining with God, and we get the idea that this is a linear process that we're supposed to pass through. And maybe, excuse me, maybe that feels comforting in a way, because as humans, we like to make meaning of things, we like to make sense out of things. So this idea that there's a process that we're going to go through and we're going to proceed through it and we're going to reach the end of it, almost like completing a course, it might be comforting to some of us, especially to think that there's an endpoint on grief. But my experience has been that there is no endpoint on grief, but the grieving process is a journey of self-discovery more than it is proceeding through some different stages. My mom died a little over a year ago, and I've gone through a lot of different feelings since then. I have been sad, I've been confused, I've been afraid, I've been angry with her, I've been forgiving of her. I feel like that relationship is still ongoing because it's still influencing me and the thoughts I have and the choices I make. So even though she's no longer with me physically, she doesn't go away as being part of my life and part of the influence on my life. Now, my dad is still living. He's in a retirement home up north, and I don't see him very often. I call him every day, and I try to get up there to visit him once a month. And it's an interesting place to be as an adult child, when the roles switch and you're kind of the caretaker of your parents instead of them being the caretaker of you. It can make you feel very vulnerable. It's made me feel very vulnerable because growing up, I always felt like I had a soft place to land. And now, with mom gone and dad often needing my help instead of vice versa, it feels like, yeah, this is true adulting, and adulting is tough. Realizing that you have to create your own safe place to land, and you have to be your own safe place to land in this world. And no matter how much you love people or how many loved ones you have around you, there are no guarantees. And being complete and being peaceful in your own mind, body, and spirit goes a long way toward making me, anyway, feel safe. And not knowing what the future will bring, but knowing that I will be strong enough to deal with whatever comes. So I have a refrigerator magnet that says, always know that you are bigger than anything that can happen to you. And I love that saying. That's kind of a slogan that I keep in mind. That I don't get to know what's coming down the road, but I am going to trust myself to be strong enough and to be able to call on the reserves of strength that I have access to at that time, whatever people or resources that is around me, to support myself and to get myself through whatever happens. Look at that child in yourself and nurture and take care of that child, whether or not there are others around to help you take care of that child, which I hope there always will be. But there's a great confidence in knowing that you are whole in and of yourself and that you can make it through that. And this is something that took me a long time to learn, because after a serious betrayal that happened in my personal life, I felt like I don't know if I can trust people again. And I had some big trust issues for a while there. And I had to work through that. It's kind of like that grieving process again. I had to take that journey and work through it. It wasn't about, oh, it's going to progress this way and last this long. Okay. But this idea of trust, I came to understand that it wasn't about trusting other people, it was about trusting myself. Okay, so maybe I got involved with somebody who hurt me, and if I say, well, I'm not going to trust other people, that doesn't really solve the problem. But if I say, I'm going to trust myself to make better choices and to learn from this experience and to not maybe connect with a person like that in future, or maybe not to offer my heart so freely to a person like that in future, that works a little better, trusting myself rather than not trusting other people. So trusting myself to learn the lessons that I need to learn and to be able to carry that wisdom forward into new life experiences. That idea has really worked well for me. Now, I'm not saying I don't have a support system and that I don't rely on them. I'm just saying that I feel like I'll be okay even if those people go away, whether it's through death or through life changes or through people moving away and being less accessible to me than they used to be, or anything like that. When all is said and done, you still have yourself. And when you see people who've gone through terrible disasters, like the recent tornado in Gaylord, where people were standing outside with just the clothes on their back and their whole home is wrecked and they've lost all their belongings. I look at that and I think, yeah, you've still got you. You've still got your heart and soul and mind and your experience. And yes, it's going to be tough to build back from that, but the stuff and the everyday worries are not the essence of you. And you and I don't need to have everything taken away from us to be able to identify with someone else who's in a position like that and to recognize that, to try to make meaning from that, and to see that, we are resilient. We're a lot more resilient than we think we are. As long as we keep getting up and putting one foot in front of the other, we're moving. We're not sitting down in the middle of the road waiting to get run over. Those are some thoughts I wanted to share with you. And It is a pep talk in the sense that I think of a pep talk, but I worry that that title might lead some people to expect the toxic positivity stuff, the rah rah you can do it stuff. So I wanted to call it Coffee Talk today, and I have my coffee cup that says, now where did I put my coffee? On one side, and on the other side it says phone, wallet, keys, to remind me. I collect coffee mugs. I have a whole cupboard full of them, and I love them. I wish you all the best. If you are struggling with depression, there is help available. If you are a student of mine, I encourage you to talk to somebody at Cindy Q's Health Center, make an appointment online, and go meet with a counselor there. They have wonderful services, and realize that it is not a character flaw. It is not something wrong with your motivation or strength. You can find people and have access to people who are going to help you get to the root of your problems and learn how to manage and cope with your depression and or grief. And I know that a lot of us have lost people in the past couple of years, especially during the pandemic, and there's enough grief to go around. But I want to assure you that dealing with grief is not a linear process with an endpoint. It's a journey that ebbs and flows and takes many, many different forms, and it's a journey of self-discovery. It's going to be tough, but you're not alone in experiencing it, believe me. I wish you a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.